Time to unbox the all-new Apple iPad mini. Completely redesigned, a lot more like the iPad Air and the iPad Pro. Very little like the iPad mini we've all grown up knowing and loving to a certain extent. So it's a real different look, and we're going to dive right in. Okay, here we go. So let's just slide this off. Oh, okay. So I guess it's got a 5G card with it, so we're gonna test out 5G on an iPad mini. That's a first. All right, here it is. Oh. Wow. So, oh my. I mean, it's a familiar look, right? It's the look you get with the iPad Air and the iPad Pro. It's very much like the iPad Air in that, single camera on the back. And here's the last iPad mini. Okay. Here's the new one. Look at this. So, lightning port gone in favor of USB-C. There's no more 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. You see, so that's on the old one. You take a look at the top of the new one. What it does have, you'll notice there's a button at the top. That is the power button's also the integrated Touch ID. There's no Face ID on this. It uses Touch ID. It's got powerful cameras, 12 megapixel cameras. It's got a center stage, which means that the camera on the front will follow you around in a room as you're talking, so you don't have to sit there planted in front of it. That's kind of nice. It's also packed with, just like the iPhone 13s that Apple introduced, it's packed with the A15 Bionic CPU. So powerful CPU, Apple's most powerful mobile CPU right now inside of this little 8-inch device. Before we power up the new iPad mini, it is worth noting that it has an 8.3-inch screen versus a 7.9-inch screen on the last iPad mini. But the chassis is actually smaller, so it's smaller. I don't know if it's lighter yet, but it might be a little bit lighter, or it might be about the same. It's very close, but even easier to hold in the hand, but you get more screen real estate. This is a big deal. Inside the iPad mini box, you get USB-C charging cable, both sides USB-C, and the charging brick comes with it as well. That starts with 64 gigabytes of storage for $499, or we jump to 256 gigabytes. So those are your two options. The previous iPad mini was the first one that worked with a smart pencil. The new iPad mini works with the second generation iPad pencil, which is good news because this is the smaller pencil. It's got the gesture recognition where you can tap on it to change tools if you're drawing with it, and so you just pair. It's easy enough to pair these up. We can pair this up. It'll also, there's a little spot at the top there on the top of the iPad mini, and take a look at that. So that's not only to place it and keep it there, to keep it on your iPad mini, but of course it's going to charge your Apple Pencil second generation as well. Okay, let's power it up, and you can see it gives you a little hello in the beginning. Let's just swipe up, English. So we'll begin the process of setting this boy up. The new iPad mini has Touch ID on it, and the button for that. So that's the Touch ID button, and basically to register my finger, I just start placing my finger, just place it on there. And now I gotta do the edges. There, I added my fingerprint. It's worth comparing the new iPad mini screen liquid retina display compared to the retina display on the last one. I mean, the icons are so much smaller. It's much sharper. I think it's 326 pixels per inch. Is that right? Yeah, I think that's right. The new iPad mini is a fraction of a pound. Like, it's like 0.66 versus 0.63 or something like that. So this is ever so slightly lighter. which is great, because you get a bigger, brighter, sharper screen, much more performance. Now we can pair up the pencil, the new Apple Pencil, and connect. Try writing a few words here. Then you can double tap to change. So when I double tap this, that changes your tools. If you're curious about how the iPad mini, the new iPad mini, compares in size to some of the other similarly designed iPads, we have this is the 12.9-inch iPad Pro. This here is the somewhat newer, the iPad Air. There's the little iPad mini. So I'm gonna lift all these up. Now you can see it's just, it's a lot smaller, but they're all quite similar. This is Apple's first 5G capable iPad mini, and we're gonna pop in. We're gonna pop a 5G SIM right inside there. Got a little 5G SIM. I'm gonna drop it onto here. I never know the right way. It's on there. This may be the iPad mini, but inside of it is Apple's new A15 Bionic, so it's got all of that power, both for everyday stuff, but video editing, gaming, all of that. I mean, basically what this does is, the iPad mini, this new one, which is, by the way, just a little over half a pound, doesn't feel like a subpar iPad or last gen iPad or something with last year's processor technology. You're going to feel like you have something that can almost fit in your pocket that can do all the things you want it to do. It has 2 cameras. So we have a 12 megapixel wide on the back, and we have the 12 megapixel ultra wide. The ultra wide is important for what Apple calls center stage, and that is where you use FaceTime and you can move around while you're talking and the camera will follow you. And basically it's done through software, because with an ultra wide image you're capturing all of the room, everything around it, but you're just moving the frame around. That's really what happens. Obviously you can do all sorts of things with an iPad mini. You can watch movies, you can browse the web, you can take photos, 12 megapixel wide angle photos, you can use your pencil to draw something. The Apple Pencil 2nd generation is incredibly responsive, and obviously you've got tilt and you've got pressure sensitivity. Basically you can see how, it's just so, it's right there. It's a few other things. You've got, of course, stereo speakers. You've got dual microphones. The dual microphones are going to be good, especially for FaceTime calling and picking up the stereo sound. You can shoot 4K video with this camera, and the front-facing camera can shoot up to 1080p. Wi-Fi 6, and we mentioned 5G is supported here. So powerful little tablet, spiffy design. If you're already a fan of the iPad mini, you love that form factor, I don't think you're going to be disappointed in this. The design is very forward-leaning. Obviously, this is the direction Apple is going with all of its iPads. Yes, they did introduce an iPad like 9th generation that is old school style, but I really feel like that's maybe the last gasp of that particular design style, that legacy, the legacy ports. We've got the USB-C port on this. We've got the more rigid, the sort of flatter frame with the edges on the side. We no longer have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. We're going to be using the Bluetooth headphones. But you've got, a liquid retina display, stereo speakers, 12 megapixel camera, center stage on FaceTime. So you have all of these forward-leaning technologies, and you've got it in a form factor that is only a little over a half a pound. And you've got a bigger screen. higher resolution, and you've got the A15 Bionic chip inside of it. That right there, the fact that you get the most powerful CPU for the iPad mini, I think that makes it worth the $499 price, because this is something you just carry anywhere and probably get a whole lot done. Thanks for watching. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe.